गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। वणक्कम, प्रणाम एंड जय हिंद। आज हम बात करने वाले हैं इजराइल पैलेस्टाइन वॉर, और इस चीज के बारे में हमारे साथ चर्चा करने के लिए जनरल शौकीन चौहान है। जनरल शौकीन चौहान, वेलकम टू गना शॉट वंस अगेन। बहुत दिन के बाद आप यू कमिंग हियर एंड इट लुक्स
Thank,
इट फील्स ग्रेट।
thank you very much, sir. My honor completely.
या, so what I'll do is I'll quickly go over a little bit of a background of this war, which has started, and then I would request you to weigh in with all the issues. I'll flash a few issues that we can do, and we can do more also, the way you
Will,
want.
will to, sir.
Okay? And I would like to tell everyone that General Shaukan Chauhan will leave at 8:40, and after that, any questions and all, I'll take them on, so don't worry. Right. So let's start with this little presentation, right? Uh, Yesterday, this whole thing started when this report came. Hamas kills 40 in unprecedented, wide-ranging incursion into Israel. Netanyahu says we are at war. Already, we are in the second day of the war. Over 600, 700 Israeli soldiers and civilians have been killed. There's some taken hostage. There's a hostage situation, and over 300 odd Palestinians have been killed as per reports coming in. Various reports give different बताते हैं। पर मेरा ये है कि ये बैकग्राउंड के लिए ना, ये एक बड़ा अच्छा आर्टिकल मैंने देखा था। ये जुलाई का आर्टिकल है इस साल का, जिसमें बोलते हैं कि ईयर ऑफ फाइटिंग बिटवीन इजराइल एंड द पैलेस्टाइनियंस जस्ट एस्केलेटेड, इज दिस एन अपराइजिंग। ये बात ये है, क्यों ये आर्टिकल दिखा रहा हूं, ये जो आज हो रहा है वो नया नहीं है। ये there's a run up to this whole thing. This is a big escalation, but इसका एक बेस है, और एंड दिस बेस हैज बीन बिल्डिंग अप फॉर द पास्ट 1 year। ये क्या बोलता है ये आर्टिकल? वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। ये बोलता है इट्स अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विद नो फोर्सिएबल एंड, द पैलेस्टीनियन लीडरशिप इज वीकेंड and the Israeli government has been accelerating the expansion of settlements that have eroded any chance of Palestinian statehood. See, this is not a biased article. This is of the Western press, so it take care of all this. Now, what does he say? Intifada means shaking off in Arabic, right? To describe an uprising. It was coined against Israel's military occupation in 1987. It ended in 1983, the first Intifada, with an agreement of mutual recognition between Israel and PLO. उस वक्त PLO था headed by Yasser Arafat. The first Intifada was marked by widespread Palestinian protests and a fierce Israeli response. The second Intifada, or the second uprising, began in 2000, in which Palestinian militants carried out deadly suicide bombings on buses and at restaurants and hotels, eliciting crushing Israeli military reprisals. Over 4,000 people died, including vast number of civilians. Roughly 3 times as many Palestinians as Israelis were killed. Now, Israeli crackdowns and frequent Palestinian bombings marked the second Intifada. Widespread participation of Palestinians in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem was reported. 3 settlement हैं, right? Okay, उसके बारे में आगे बात करेंगे. The protests driven by Palestinian leaders, including President Yasser Arafat, right? The Intifada petered out after Arafat died in 2004, and the current Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas took power. Okay. अभी महमूद अब्बास के अगेंस्ट तकरीबन हमास खड़ा हो गया है, ये मैं बताना चाहता हूं। इन 22 a spate of Palestinian attacks पे एक साल पहले prompted Israel to launch near nightly raids into Palestinian areas of the West Bank. The death toll on both sides has risen. Last 1 year has been one of the deadliest in the West Bank. ये West Bank में भी कुछ चल रहा था पिछले एक साल से, since the second Intifada. The violence has only intensified with Israel's current far-right government. The region has not seen such a sustained cycle of violence since the second Intifada. The last 16 months have showed Israel lacks a long-term vision on how to deal with the Palestinians. The need to start thinking strategically about the Palestinian issue was felt in Israel. Israeli government was seen to be pushing Palestinians towards more extremism and violence. Right? Okay. अगर आप पूरा देखेंगे ये जो कल शुरू हुआ है there's been extreme violence like I said 700 Israelis मारे गए हैं और 250 Palestinians मारे गए हैं इसमें एक बड़ा इंटेलिजेंस फेलियर हुआ the reaction of the Israeli armed forces the bases have been found wanting they've been parading women with religions chanting एक hostage situation है but इस पूरे कहानी में Hamas is working as per a plan right yeah, they want to force Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Bahrain to stop all talks of normalization with Israel. Will they succeed? ये एक सवाल है. Why did Hamas stage a long-planned, carefully executed, and multifaceted attack on Israeli towns, soldiers, and civilians? One designed to instill terror by executing non-combatant, taking hostages, and desecrating the bodies of the dead. राइट ये है एक बैकग्राउंड जो आज ये जो अभी चल रहा है विद दिस एज अ बैकग्राउंड राइट आई वुडंट लाइक टू गो बैक to the times of the Second World War and Israel coming into being and all, but we know all of us know ये भाई सबको. So you take it on, General Shaukin Chauhan, and explain all these issues, various factors, and we'll take it on from there and see where it goes. Over to you, Shaukin.
Thank you, sir.
या एक और पॉइंट मैंने मिस कर दिया है वो ये है Hamas has called upon the Hezbollah which is in the north to come into the thing and Hezbollah has responded and there's some action going in the north in the Lebanon border also. So over to you. Sorry for this interruption.
Thank you, sir. दोस्तों, there are three different fronts here. And I'll request General Shankar to show that map. The first front, you see south and west, you'll see what is known as the Gaza Strip. This is a very thin strip of land, just about 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers wide. It is almost 6 kilometers, it's about 15 kilometers long. And it is one of the most densely populated areas on earth. In fact, one of the 10 most densely populated areas on earth. If you go there, like I have, you will see small gullies, small alleyways, small places from where, there are huge buildings and huge number of hiding places, huge number of people, huge population, all packed into this like sardines into this small strip of land. All around this strip of land, that means from the north, from the east, as well as from the west till the sea, Israel has surrounded this border completely. The border is fenced. It is full of surveillance devices. All communication inside the Gaza Strip is controlled by Israel. That means any kind of communication that people are doing amongst themselves is intercepted by Israel. And I have personally been to this fence. I have been to Gaza. I have been to the Israeli side. I can say that I was extremely impressed by their level of sophistication, their ability to respond, and their ability to see and have eyes inside Gaza Strip. And that is what kept them safe for so many years. But probably this safety also brought in some kind of laxity, because for the for for the people to attack them, Hamas to attack them, to launch 3,000 rockets, to cross the fence in so many places using bulldozers and using different modes of transport. They used air gliders, they've used boats, small shallow boats, to break into the areas of Israel, into those small settlements that Israel had created all around the Gaza front. And to cross Mayhem meant a lot of planning. Now you must be asking in your mind, who's controlling the Hamas? Where are they getting the money from? Who's funding them? These are legitimate questions, and as General Shankar has already given you an idea that the Hamas is also funded by Iran. It could also be the Muslim Brotherhood. There could also be tacit support from Russia. There could also be tacit support from North Korea. There could be support from anywhere. But the issue is, how did the Hamas uh, terrorists get hold of 3,000 rockets? How did they get hold of the multi barrel rocket launchers? How did they get hold of their ability to get through this fence using gliders and without Israel knowing? So, the first issue that Jan Shankar has already mentioned, and I want to tell you, is the issue about intelligence failure. How can a country like Israel fail? For them, intelligence failure is death. And I was so surprised to see that the Hamas has come out of Gaza. Gaza is so densely, protected. And I saw for myself the kind of quick reaction teams they were to intercept any kind of movement, the ability of the Israeli forces to tell anything that is happening, and yet it happened because human ingenuity is human ingenuity. And to hit them again during during a holiday is to take them back to the Yom Kippur War, where they were hit during the holiday season. Why couldn't the Israeli soldiers react? Why couldn't their quick reaction teams react? Why couldn't they fight? And how did they? How could the Hamas break in so easily? And how could they capture 150 to 200 hostages? If nobody is very clear about it, how could they kill 400 Israelis? And how is the fighting still going on in so many parts of southern Israel? That is the second issue. That the
And
Israeli
and who
army,
trained Hamas? Who trained Hamas to do this?
exactly, who trained Hamas, who armed them, who gave them motivation, how did they get inside? It will come out when more detailed check is done. But the second issue is, first was intelligence failure. The second issue is, how did the Israeli army, IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, fail to react? And why has it taken so much time? So let me spend 5 minutes on the Israeli army. The Israeli army is about 150 to 250,000 strong. It has a huge reservist force. All soldiers train up to 1 to 2 months in a year, with the specialized units training every month, especially the pilots and the commandos. They train every month for 5 to 10 days, and their employers are obliged to allow these soldiers to reach out and to go back to the units to train. But where are the standing army? Where are the people who were supposed to have reacted? The quick reaction team that I had seen hiding in groves, hiding in the jungles, ready to react. They were not there when the Hamas came in. So obviously, during a holiday, there was laxity and there was failure of intelligence. The third issue is, why now? Once again, then Shankar has spoken little about it. Let me try and explain why now. You're aware that over the last 2 years, Israel has been in the world. Israel is finding greater acceptance. Saudi Arabia has recently accepted an Israeli delegation to enter Saudi Arabia. They were talking of trade, and maybe 5 years from now, they were talking of normalization of relations. Who knows? But would the Hamas allow it? Would its proxies in Iran allow it? Would the Hezbollah allow it? These are issues that we have to be clear that by opening up a front, what exactly has the Hamas and its proxies achieved? The first issue that they have achieved is they've brought battle, this battle of Palestine, of Palestine's independence, of the statehood of Palestine, back to center stage. It was disappearing. In fact, I was talking to an Israeli earlier this day today, and he was telling me that the Israelis had more or less changed uh, their strategy in dealing with the Palestine and thinking that they could contain Palestine while they dealt with the larger problem on the north, the Hezbollah, which is in Lebanon. That is entirely to Israel's north. And if I'll request Jan Shankar to show that map
Yeah,
again,
I'll just show that map.
you will see that on the West Bank is almost 10 times larger than the Gaza Strip. This is led by, earlier used to be led by Yasser Arafat of the PLO, and now by his own Lieutenant Abbas,
Abbas.
who is the head of the PLO. Till now, the West Bank has not exploded. Till now, the West Bank is still holding and has not shown its hand at all. But if it does, this narrow strip of land between the West Bank and the Mediterranean Sea, that is Israel, the state of Israel, could easily be cut off. Now let's go north. You will find the area of Lebanon. Lebanon is controlled by, once again, the proxies. Controlled, yes, there is Lebanon right on top. You can see it is controlled by the Hezbollah. And the Hezbollah are a very, very well known terrorist fighting force. Extremely well trained, extremely well armed. And Hezbollah this morning fired almost 5 to 6 rockets into Israel, but as yet have not shown their hand on carrying out any kind of offensive. So these are the three threats that Israel faces. From Gaza, that threat has already shown its hand. From the West Bank, the PLO has not shown its hand at all as yet. And from the north, the Hezbollah, besides firing a few rockets into Israel in support of the Gaza attack, have not moved further till now. But this is how the Israel will have to fight its battle of the future. Third issue: what does Israel do now? So the first issue that Israel will do, from what I think, is like they've carried out a huge number of air raids into the Gaza Strip. But will air raids actually make a difference? Besides breaking few buildings or besides killing a few people, is operations can never be decisive. They will need to carry out a ground attack. If they were to carry out a ground attack, what would the reaction be? You can understand that earlier the IDF used to hesitate to carry out a ground attack. The reason was that they were very hesitant to send in forces because they didn't want a single Israeli to be caught by the Hamas or caught by the Palestinians and tortured or exchanged. The last soldier that was exchanged, who was in the custody of the Hamas, was exchanged for 5,000 Palestinian terrorists who were in Israeli jails. There are about 5,000 more terrorists who are in Israeli jails. And if they have 200 plus hostages, they could be exchanged for a millennium. The one thing that Israel actually lacks are people. They have very few people. They've also got very little space. And they are surrounded on three sides. So it's going to be a difficult battle, very difficult and very long battle ahead because the options are limited. With 200 people plus being taken hostage, how will Israel carry out retaliatory strikes? How will Israel carry out hostage rescue? And inside the Gaza Strip, carrying out hostage rescue is really impossible. Having seen Gaza, having known the denseness of Gaza's population, it will be impossible to find out where these hostages are. Most of them are hidden in tunnels, deep under houses, and it will be impossible to find out where they are. So the ground attack will come. Maybe in a couple of hours, maybe in a couple of days, but Israel has to take three things into consideration before launching the ground attack. Does Hamas want them to launch the ground attack? Is Hamas planning something more inside? By launching tanks in densely populated areas, densely populated cities are actually death traps for tanks. As the tanks go in, they have very, very little reaction time from an RPG, just less than a split second before the RPG destroys them from some building or from some house nearby. The second thing is that as they go in, normal people, innocent people will be killed. This will further incense the Islamic world, which might then decide to gang up against Israel. And then Israel will be supported by the US. Russia now is fighting in Ukraine and therefore will support the Hamas attacks because they will oppose the West. And so, in a situation like this, you might just go into a war, a world war, because it is most definite that NATO and the Western powers will come out to support Israel if Israel comes under threat. But does the Islamic world have a choice? I don't think so. If Muslims are being killed in Gaza, there is no question that the population will allow them to keep quiet or to allow Israel to do what it has to do to decapacitate the Hamas leadership. So, all in all, it's a difficult proposition. Israel faces a difficult job. And here I must bring in one issue. When you are faced with these kind of threats, like Israel is, maybe there is a need to have a larger standing army. The issue about reservists being called to mobilize, and though Israel is a very small country and most of the mobilization takes place in hours, it is still the issue about training. A small team, a section in an infantry battalion, consists of 10 people. So if four are reservists, where is their place in that team? Where will they get the time to train? Who will be the scouts? Who will be the weapons group commander? How will they move forward? What will be the tactics to move forward? All these happen when there are infantry units which are trained day in and day out to carry out such operations. But with the reservists, this time it's very difficult, and it takes a long time for them to get their drills set. And I must bring back that what is the lesson for India? The first lesson for India is eternal
May,
vigilance.
may, may I interject 1 minute, Shokin, before we get to the lessons to India? We also have to be cognizant of the fact that Israel, as of now, like you said earlier, is facing only one front. What if the
Absolutely.
second and the third front start
Yes.
up more than Israel's options? And the point which you made about a standing army or lack of standing army is going to get accentuated. Yeah, sorry for this
So
interjection, but I thought it was a very important point you had made. I wanted to highlight it.
I read about, on X, or what used to be Twitter, a lot of people are trying to compare Kashmir with Israel and the situation there. There is no comparison. Kashmir is our land. We are in. We have. It is our country, and we are protecting it. And we have broken the terrorist backbone in the year 2000 onwards. We have reduced their capability completely, but also we hold the line of control very strongly. So any chance of any people breaking through the line of control is an impossibility. Will they then use motor gliders? Will they then use drones? Will they use the sea? Well, we are prepared for that. But here we must bring in the fact, and I hate to say this, but Jan Shankar and me have spoken about the Agniveers. I must
Hmm.
caution our powers, I must caution our decision makers that don't, by 2040 or 2042, the Agniveers will be 75% of our infantry units or all our combat units. That is the time when, if we are attacked, we will have a very difficult time trying to break in the Agniveers in that short 3 years to get them to accept battle drills and battle tactics. So we need to be very careful when we take these decisions. Israel may not have an option because there are no people. But even then, mobilization is a very difficult task. It's not easy. Where are the logistic systems? Where are the weapons? Where is the ammunition? Where is the training? How are they going to be meshed? They'll be launched straight into an attack. Plus, as Jan Shankar said, there are three fronts. Which front opens up besides the Gaza front, which is already opened up? The northern front with Hezbollah opens up, they're in trouble. So when we are two generals, and when we talk about higher strategy, I must tell you what we look at when there are three fronts or two fronts. We look to see which front will bring us success and which front can we close, or what we call have deterrent capability, and the other front we have the ability to destroy. So destruction versus deterrence. There is no way any country in the world can destroy two different fronts. Nobody has that capability. So if Hezbollah was to attack, and Hezbollah is a very large force, much larger than Gaza, Israel would have to move its forces to the north to hold the Hezbollah attack, and at the same time would have to destroy Gaza because they have no option. And if the Palestinians in the West Bank explode, it's a difficult proposition. So, my friends, it's the world is going into a difficult time. We've already had the Russian-Ukraine war. Now, with the Hamas opening up the Gaza front, the Ukraine war is going to go into a back burner. Very soon, you'll find the Russians taking over the Ukrainians and their area because no one is going to support the Ukrainians anymore. They don't have the time. Nobody's had the ability to support different places. Israel becomes a new flashpoint in the world. And we can only pray and hope that the Islamic world sees reason, does not get into a battle which they cannot win, because the Western powers will definitely be on the side of Israel. Over to you, Shankar sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I thought you made some great points, uh, and you outlined the whole story, the difficult situation that Israel is in. Now let's look at one thing. We all spoke of the intelligence failure. What is the biggest lesson for us in this? You know, that I thought is something which we have to learn and probably ensure that we don't get into this problem which Israel has got into.
The most important thing is, to my mind, don't depend entirely on technical surveillance. There are intelligence has three parts. It has human intelligence, it has technical intelligence, and it has the ability to, for this intelligence to give you the information in a faster manner. That means not only do you have to get the information, you have to collate and decide what is actually going to happen. The Israelis, the Israeli intelligence had to give, and this is what their job is, that their task is to give Israel government 48 hours of notice of what is going to happen. In this case, they didn't even give them 1 hour or 30 minutes.
They didn't get any.
Sec- Second thing is, where is the human intelligence in the Gaza Strip? When I went from the Israeli side to the Gaza Strip, they were very confident about their surveillance devices. They're very confident about their ability to exactly make out what's going to happen. That obviously has failed. So the most important lesson for us is don't depend on this.
Yeah. And
Eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. There has
yes,
to be professional soldiers, professional intelligence officers who are willing to lay down their life for you to protect you and to give you that extra 1 hour so that you are able to react.
yeah, right.
That's a very,
And
very major lesson for India.
very the second point which I want to bring out here is the second aspect, the price which you pay for, your freedom is through vigilance. The Gaza Strip has a wall. You've seen it,
It's a fence, actually. Yeah,
fence,
yeah,
and that
fence.
fence, the people on that fence were not vigilant.
Absolutely.
And if similarly, people on our fence are not vigilant, the LOC, we will have a similar situation, right? So here
Absolutely.
comes the point which I'm trying to make. Every battlefield has a level up to which technology is useful. Beyond that, it is sheer guts, training, and those boots on ground. Israel proved it, Galwan proved it, and XYZ, so many things have proven it. So I'd like you to reinforce this point about the limits which technology can be put to use in a situation like this. Khas karke, the second aspect of this technology, firepower. You can use firepower, you can use tanks, you can use air force, everything. Will it give Israel a political solution against Hamas? These two things I think you need to highlight.
I agree with you, sir. The issue is very clear that are you capable of 24-hour surveillance, 12 months of the year, 7 days of the week? And do you have enough people to help you in case something goes wrong? This is an issue
Mhm.
that we must keep in mind. And Israel has the best surveillance systems in the world.
System.
Absolutely the best systems in the world. And if they failed,
Yeah,
then we can't depend on
yeah,
anybody. So please
yes,
don't let anyone tell you that we can reduce our forces on the border
correct.
or we
तो
can
ये मैं
reduce our strike forces or we can reduce our reserves. You can't.
आई थिंक
Eternal vigilance.
आपने जो बोला है बिल्कुल सही बोला है। कुछ लोग बोल रहे हैं कि हमें हिंदी में बताइए, मैं दोबारा दोहराता हूँ। दुश्मन के ऊपर निगरानी रखने के लिए सिर्फ तकनीकी कार्रवाई से नहीं होगा, हमें आदमी चाहिए, ये दो आंख चाहिए, ये दिमाग चाहिए, और दुश्मन के इलाके में जाके उसके बारे में जानकारी हासिल करने का हमारे पास क्षमता होना चाहिए। हर एक लड़ाई के मैदान में उतना ही टेक्निकल क्षमता इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो जितना वो लड़ाई में इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है। उसके बाद जवानों की और जोश की और दिल और जज्बे की जरूरत है कि आप वापस लड़ाई करो। तीसरी बात, ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है। अच्छा ट्रेनिंग और सही हुई ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है। अभी जो इसराइल के फोर्सेस में जो रिजर्विस्ट हैं, जो चंद दिनों के लिए काम करके वापस चले जाते हैं, अभी बड़ा क्लियर है कि वो दे वर फाउंड शॉट, उनको वो उतना लायक नहीं हुए
Yeah, they're from training.
हमास के अगेंस्ट, राइट। उसके अगेंस्ट तो ये जो अग्निवीर का जो प्रॉब्लम है, हमें थोड़ा सोच समझ के इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए, ये लागू करना चाहिए, क्योंकि जो शौकीन चौहान ने और मैंने दोनों ने बताया कि भाई ये अग्निवीर के रिव्यू जरूरत है, नहीं तो हम एक दिन पछताएंगे, जिस तरीके से आज इसराइल पछता रहा है। नेक्स्ट पॉइंट जो जनरल शौकीन चौहान ने बताया, कास्ट पॉइंट, कि अभी इसराइल एक दुविधा के अंदर है। ये बात अच्छी है कि हम फायर पावर इस्तेमाल करेंगे और आर्टिलरी इस्तेमाल करेंगे, टैंक इस्तेमाल करेंगे, एयरफोर्स इस्तेमाल करेंगे, पर हमस के लीडरशिप को कैसे पकड़ोगे, उसको कैसे पहुंचाओगे? जैसे गाजा ट्रिप है, वो एक जंगल है, कंक्रीट जंगल है, उसके अंदर एक गली में घुस जाओ, ठीक है, और एक चौल की तरह है, आप वापस बाहर नहीं निकल सकते हो, उसके अंदर टैंक लेके नहीं जा सकते हो, टैंक उड़ाए जाएंगे जिस तरीके से हमारे टैंक श्रीलंका में उड़ाए गए, ठीक है ना। तो यहाँ क्या है, हमें आदमी चाहिए, सोल्जर्स चाहिए अंदर जाके पिन पॉइंट करके फायर करके उनको पकड़ने के लिए। क्या इसराइल के पास वो क्षमता है आज के दिन? राइट। ये बहुत सवाल उठ खड़े हैं। और क्या इसराइल, एक मोटा सवाल है, राइट, जिसके बारे में हमने टच नहीं किया, अभी पूरा मिलिट्री के बारे में टच किया है। क्या इसराइल के पास एक पॉलिटिकल सॉल्यूशन है, ये पॉलिटिकल अप्रोच है इसको रिजॉल्व करने के लिए? अगर ये पॉलिटिकल सॉल्यूशन नहीं है तो जितना मर्जी आप खड़ा कर दो फौज, उससे कोई फायदा नहीं होता। और ये जो अभी ये पहले सवाल जो जनरल शौकीन चौहान ने बताया, इसराइल, ये हमास को कौन मदद कर रहा है? क्या ईरान कर रहा है, रशिया कर रहा है, कतार कर रहा है, टर्की कर रहा है, या पाकिस्तान कर रहा है? और हिजबुल्लाह भी अगर आ गया तो इस- इसराइल के हाथ में एक बड़ा लड़ाई है। ये सब बड़ा सवाल है। क्या दुनिया वर्ल्ड वॉर 3 में आगे अग्रसर होके जा रहा है? ये सब सवाल हमें देखना है कि आगे जाके क्या होगा। यहाँ तक